here. All right. I am going live just a little bit early to kind of give a chance for people to hop on. So I'm just going to hang out for a minute.
What is this movie again?
Ice Age. Collision Course. But just trying to, let's see. Hi, Smith family. How are y'all today? You can see I got our sign up finally. I put it up a while back, but it fell. So I had to get stronger stuff to put it up. So we finally got our 4 blessings sign up. But thank you. I think the girls at Blooming Burns, I think is what their Etsy store is. They did a really good job. Good morning, Eli. All right. So how is everybody's week starting out so far? I know ours is like it's been for the last few weeks, hot. Our poor garden is pretty much scorched. Still getting a few things. Yes, very hot. Still getting a few things. Like I actually got a squash out of the garden yesterday, and some of the sweet peppers, and a few tomatoes, but not very many. So. And of course, Eddie's been super busy with stuff outside. I mean, some of y'all might have seen his video of him pulling the building up. Yeah, I bet you that was nice. Hi, McClendons. But Eddie, pulled that building was on the property when we bought this property. And it was just back in the woods. The people who used to own this property, the only thing they ever really used it for was hunting. So that was kind of like their little hunting cabin. Let's see. Oh, you finally got some rain. That's good. I know. I wish it. I want some rain to come, but I want it to bring some of the cooler weather too. So not just rain and then get steamy hot again. I want it to rain and cool off for a little while. I am very much ready for fall. But so Eddie got that building pulled up. It's gonna need some work done to it to get it to where he can use it for stuff, but it's really not too bad. Where it was back in the woods, water tends to sit there and especially this last year when we had so much rain for so long, our whole property was a lake. No, I think it just kind of slipped down a little bit. It's still there. But okay, hey Stacy. But yeah, so it's gonna take a little bit of work, but he's gonna use that as kind of like a maintenance shed for working on small engines and stuff of that kind of thing. But he's been having such a hard time trying to get stuff done around here because now it's starting to kind of get out there in our area that he does mechanic work and he does work on lawnmowers and small engine repair and stuff. And so now our neighbors are constantly, hey, can you fix this? Granted, they do pay him, so I mean it's not like he's just getting bombarded with people wanting free work, but it's a lot, especially with it being 112 degrees outside. Let's see. Good morning, Salubrious Farm. So yeah, he's been doing a lot of stuff outside. I know he's been getting frustrated with trying to get things done around the house. You got chocolate all over your mouth, boy.
A donut.
No.
What's in the
I don't know. You can have some little goldfish things. But Yeah, that's the only thing is I worry with him working outside all the time. Huh? I think they're over on the island. I mean, he works in an automotive shop, so, and it's not climate controlled at all. So even though they have the doors open, it's still, 100 degrees in there. Give me just 1 second. Zeke needs a little snack. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Yeah. Well, and we don't get a whole lot of real winter weather here. We might get a cold snap here and there, but it's not too bad. I like spring and I like fall. If we could just keep with those two, I'd be fine. But so yeah, Eddie works in an automotive shop that, so he's out in that heat all day, and then he comes home and he works outside, and now he doesn't have a workshop right now. That's for in the future, but time and money, mostly money, because everything is so expensive. He doesn't have a workshop, so he's out in the sun in the heat, and even in the evenings, it's still just miserable. You just sweat nonstop. So luckily, the last 2 weekends, he's kind of been taking it back a little bit. Like he'll go outside and do stuff, but he'll actually come in and cool off for a little while. And it just worries me because it's pretty hot. As long as it's not too cold. But yeah, we were hoping to get a fall garden started. It's just trying to get the time to do anything. Especially with school starting, it seems like everything else is kind of just ramped up. And now Maddie, she's doing volleyball. And so we have volleyball practice on Wednesdays. And then her first game is not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So she's excited. But okay, one raised bed. Yeah. I don't know. It's just seems like it's almost impossible to get anything done. You might get it started, but then it just kind of goes to the wayside. But, is anybody else getting a long weekend for Labor Day? Eddie is actually going to take off the Tuesday after Labor Day. Our son will be starting his Mother's Day out preschool thing on Tuesday the 3rd, I think is what it is. Second or third. But he's gonna take off so he can go with me to drop the kids off at school and drop Zeke off at his thing and also pick him up. So it's gonna be interesting. 2 days a week not having any kids in the house. I don't know, I might go crazy. Lacking motivation, I can understand that. Because then when you have time available, you just don't have the drive to do anything. Yeah, I'm hoping that we can, find some time here pretty soon to get some stuff started. I know I was telling Eddie, you know, I could get some stuff started during the day. It's just we keep forgetting to get all the stuff ready so I can. But, so, does anybody already have some stuff planted? Or how's everybody's garden doing? Anything going good? Like we have some watermelon and cantaloupe, I think. But they're just like vining like crazy, but nothing's actually producing. Good morning, Big Bear. Or yeah, still morning. Oh, they ate the watermelons. Oh goodness. I'm really surprised that the chickens haven't gotten into more of the garden. Some of the stuff that was just too far gone, Eddie pulled up, but they haven't gotten into the actual like stuff that we don't have in the buckets. The stuff that's actually in the ground, they haven't been messing with. I don't know if it's because we have some like the cedar shavings and stuff around it, but they haven't really been messing with it. Let's see. From Zero to Homestead, hello. Life Adventures, hello. Nice to see everybody this morning. Talk to everybody this morning. So I know I kind of just ramble a lot of my lives, and I'll probably do that here too. But I know we talked about this, I think last time, where about parenting and how, you know, you try not to be judgmental over other parents or anything, but there are certain things that really just irk me. So one of our friends was telling us that this last weekend they went to a birthday party or some type of party where there was a bunch of kids. And they knew that they were going to have older kids and younger kids, so they tried to kind of have two separate areas so that the little ones wouldn't get trampled on by the older ones. Makes sense. Totally understandable. Well, our friends, they have a 3-year-old. And there was a couple other younger kids, and they were over in the little kids side, and they had like one of those inflatable water slides. Well, a couple of older boys ran over there and started just like just running over all these little kids, knocking them down, pushing them over. And the whole time, like my friend, she's sitting there, you know, she would say something, hey, y'all need to quit. But you're like looking around, like, where are these kids' parents? You know, and even if you found the parents, would they do anything? Because that, you know, and I'm the type of parent that, or a person, I guess it doesn't really matter, because if I see kids acting like that and nobody else is correcting them, I will be the one to correct them. I'll be like, hey, you need to chill it out or you need to go. I don't care if I'm your mom or not. And especially if, you know, there are little kids there who are getting hurt because these big kids are acting like little boneheads. You know, I'll be real quick to step up. And I've made other parents mad by doing so, because they're like, you know, they don't want you speaking to their child like that, but they're not doing their parenting job as far as getting over there and dealing with the situation. And that's one of those like pet peeves, you know. Me personally, I try not to be like a helicopter mom, but I also don't try to be completely hands off. I want to find the balance. Sometimes and especially when they're this little, you know, I mean, mine are 6 and 4. They're a little bit older. They can, you know, kind of handle things a little better, but there still need, you know, somebody there to be there for them. just in case, especially when it comes to older kids that don't seem to have any respect for the little ones. Yeah. Well, and that's what I always tell people. I'm like, hey, if you're over here and my kids are over here and they are doing something, you have full permission to say, hey, you need to chill it out. And if they don't, you can send them away. They don't need to be acting like that. And I don't want them to think that it's okay just because me or my husband isn't there. So, and and a lot of times it's the same parents that get upset when somebody else gets after their kids or disciplines their kids, that are quick to like put the blame on something else. Oh, well, they're just playing. Oh, they're just, they didn't realize that they were being so rough. Your kids are 9, 10, 11 or whatever, and they're running over 3, 4-year-olds. I think they know what they're doing. For one, you're making them sound stupid. And two, you're not making them accountable for their actions. So example. Last night we were outside for a little while, and we were trying to work with Maddie on her volleyball stuff. And I always tried to teach them, like, don't say things or do things to somebody that you wouldn't want said or done to you. Well, Zeke wanted to try and play volleyball, practice with us too, and he doesn't understand how the game works. I mean, she's only had one practice, so she doesn't even really understand. But he was doing certain things, and she's like, "You're just not good enough." And I told her, I was like, "Hold up. So let me tell you to you this way. You just told him he wasn't good enough because he doesn't understand how, the way you're supposed to do it, but you're not doing it exactly right either. And how would you feel if the girls who on your team that have played before come up to you and say, you're just not good enough?" And she kind of lowered her head and started pouting. I was like, well, it hurt your feelings. Though, I mean, those type of things hurt. And so, I mean, even in small examples like that, I try to make sure that they understand that there is consequences to their actions and words. And, but yeah, I really try not to be judgmental of parents, but I find myself like rolling my eyes a lot because, I understand you don't want to be a yelling parent or a mean mom or a mean dad, but sometimes you have to be. I mean, I don't know how many times being like the grocery store, I may not yell at my kids, but I get like gritted teeth, and I'm like, you better stop it. I mean, but they have to know there's boundaries, and they have to know what happens when they cross those boundaries. But when you have these older kids who are just running over these little ones, it just makes me want to pull them aside and bust their butts myself. I know not every parent does, spankings, and we don't. And I'm not saying that that's the only form of discipline, but when you're not putting your foot down, I don't know. I mean, what else? What are they gonna? They're gonna railroad everything. And like those kids that you see smacking their parents or cussing at their parents at like 5 and 6. I believe in old school ways of like putting soap in their mouth. I mean, I don't even like when Maddie says like stupid or dumb or, even like small little words like that aren't really bad words, but, and then you have these like 4 and 5-year-olds who are dropping F-bombs. I'm just like, okay, me and you need some soap time because it's not happening. And see, I know a lot of people get they get the idea of spankings and beatings crossed. You know, I know probably a lot of our generation and the generations before us, I mean, you got like a switch, you got a belt, you got a shoe, you got a brush, whatever was handy really. But, you know, a good little pop on the butt, you don't I mean, you're not beating the snot out of your child. You're not making them black and blue and bloody. You know, that's beating. And, you know, having just a little tap, get their attention. And it's funny because, like, I have my kids to the point where, you know how, like, everybody says you get, like, a look, you know, a mama look, a daddy look, where you just kind of look at them and they know to straighten up. Well, if my kids aren't looking at me, I snap my fingers. And, like, immediately they both turn to me. It got to the point when we were living in Leander and we had our dog, that even if I was just like, the radio was on and I happened to snap my fingers to the beat, all three of them would look at me. It was just, they have gotten so used to me just snapping my fingers to catch attention that all three would look at me no matter what I was doing if I snapped my fingers. Yeah, there's a huge, huge difference of abuse and discipline. I mean, even with verbal, I mean, sometimes I'll admit it, I am not the coolest, calmest mom. I lose my temper. I yell. And, you know, there's times when I'm like, oh, okay, there was a better way I could have handled that. But there's also times where saying something so many times and it's not being heard until you get loud, I don't like it. And I even tell my kids, I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like to yell. I want to talk to you. But if you're not going to open up your ears and listen, I'm going to help you listen. See, and that's the other pet peeve I have. So I know I just said, you know, I hate when people, you know, butt in, or I hate when people don't take care of, you know, their parenting responsibilities. But I also hate those people who are constantly poking their nose in other parents, you know, bubbles. They're poking their nose in their business. Okay. My children are my responsibility. If I am taking care of that, back off. It's not for you to tell me, oh, you know, you might be psychologically damaging your child by raising your voice. Okay, well, these other parents that are, sweetie, don't do that, honey. You're going to hurt somebody. And their kid is screaming and punching them in the face as they're being so calm, ain't doing no good either. So which one is more psychologically damaging? Because my kids will snap to attention when I yell, hey, or do I just allow them to be, you know, these jerks? And I mean, that's just, I don't know how else to put it, by trying to be the calm, you know, quiet parent that doesn't hurt feelings. And I don't know. It doesn't, there's a, you know, a broad spectrum all the way around. I mean, you're going to have the parents who yell and scream all the time, and it does no good. And you have the other parents that do the whole, like, it's okay, honey, you're perfectly fine. I know you're angry, and it's okay to be angry, so just let that anger out. No. Yes, it is okay to be angry, but you need to find a better way to deal with it. And that's one thing, like, I tell my kids. I'm like, you're mad right now? You're allowed to be mad, but you're not allowed to be disrespectful or hurtful. You're not allowed to, you know, hit somebody or punch something just because you're mad. If you're mad, go in your room, go, you know, yell into a pillow, whatever you need to do. Go draw something, go take a walk, whatever you need to do. When my kids were a little bit younger, there was more when I had, I used to watch my best friend's little girl. And so I had two that were the same age. Her and my daughter are the same age. Well, there were, I got to a point where like, timeouts and separation and, all that stuff, taking things away, nothing was really working. And as much as I had permission to discipline this child from her mom, I don't like to push that boundary unless absolutely necessary. Like if she was about to like cut herself with a knife, and slap it out of her hand type of thing. But so one of the things I started doing is kind of what like, I think Big Bear City, he had his son do push-ups. I'd make them go run laps in the backyard. Because, I mean, they were young, and I wouldn't make them, like, run till they were throwing up. But, like, they would have to run, like, 4 laps from the door to the back fence and back. They have to do that 4 times. And when they, afterwards, they were like, we're so tired. I'm like, okay, so now are you ready to listen? Is all that energy out of you that you're able to listen to what I have to say? And sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. It was just trial and error. But, this whole coddling movement that seems to be a big thing now where, you don't want to hurt their feelings or, I mean, I understand to a point, but part of our job as parents is to raise them for the world outside of our home. And I think that's part of the problem in today's world is because these kids who have been coddled their entire lives now going out into the world expecting it still to be what it was at home, everything taken care of for them. They don't really have to do anything to get what they want. And all they have to do is throw a hissy fit, and it eventually gets handed to them. I mean it's working for them for now, but eventually, I mean, society's going to get tired of it, and they're going to be tired of taking care of these giant babies. Yeah, I mean, I get today I have such a hard time because I'm trying to like raise my kids for a world that tells them it's okay to still act like a baby, and it's like, and I mean, I don't know how many times my daughter, like I said, she's 6, we've been out in public and have like a teenager or a young adult, throwing a hissy fit, basically, a giant hissy fit, and she look at me and go, what is wrong with them? I'm like, they don't get what they want, so they're throwing a fit. I was like, do you see how silly that looks? And she's like, wow. I mean, I don't want to sit here and be like telling her it's okay to judge that person, but I want her to see what that looks like. I'm like, you see how silly that is? That's ridiculous. That's not how you handle things. If something's not working the way you want it to work, either figure out a different way or just move on. I mean, not everything in this world is just going to be handed to you because you stomp your feet and sit on the ground and pout. I don't know. Until I'm getting on a soapbox. But it's so hard because I guess in some ways I'm almost too honest with my kids, but I figure they're gonna see this stuff and they need to know what it is. Yeah, self-respect. There you go. That's a good way to put it. Because I mean, I don't know. It just so often you see these young adults now. You can't even call them adults because they're, and not all of them. The whole, I know everybody was like, millennials, but, and to a point it was a good majority, but there's some good young adults out there that have had to do things to grow up or have had to go through things to grow up. But for the most part, there's so many young people who just expect that, oh, well, if I don't really want that, then I'll just, make them give me something else. Like this, yeah. Well, and I know, like, one of the things I've even tried to do is acknowledge when I mess up. Like, if I've done something and I've messed up or failed or screwed up or whatever, I'm like, hey, look, this didn't work out. Not like I was hoping it would. They have to see that failure is a part of life. We grow from it, we learn from it, and we either try it again, or we know that that's just not something that we're capable of doing, and we move on. Yeah, kids, no future there. I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, I get I get so frustrated with when I see things, and you don't say anything because it's not your place, but at the same time you just that maybe you need help with. Not necessarily saying that you're doing it bad or you're doing it wrong, but if things aren't working, then maybe we need to figure out a different, method. And I don't think that's, dumping our kids on other people. And that's another pet peeve, is people who just go somewhere and dump their children off and, walk off. I mean, that kind of goes back to what started this conversation with the kids on the slides. Some parents see that, oh, there's going to be a kids area, and instead of being a parent, they just drop their kids off and they walk off and go do whatever they want to do and not have a second thought of what's going on over there. I believe that it's good to give your children a little bit of room and distance and a little bit of opportunity to make good choices, but you also need to be aware of what they're doing so that if a situation comes up, you are there to correct it, or you are there to step in if needed. So that's where that whole, like, I want to be a middle mom. I don't want to be the helicopter, and I don't want to be the hands-off mom. I want to be kind of the in-between. Like, we were at a event in town a couple weeks ago. Our daughter had been doing tumble class, and the gym, the lady who owned the gym and ran the tumble, she was having to move, and so they were kind of doing like a farewell bash, and they had multiple slip and slides and stuff like that. And there was quite a few times that I was in the vicinity of where my kids were, and I knew where they were, but I wasn't like right there. I was letting them have their freedom, but I was still aware of what was going on. And I was talking to other moms. It wasn't like I was like zoomed in on my kids not the entire time, but I made a point that, I would kind of take a look around and make sure that they were still in the area, that they were both okay, that they weren't being too rough or being bullied up on, or, anything like that. Your helicopter has a 50 caliber. Yeah, and I mean, it's sad that you almost have to put fear into your kids to keep them safe. I mean, even just the other day, or was it last night? Last night, I was trying to think of kind of something fun to help Madeline remember my phone number. So just in case something ever happens and she needs to get a hold of me, she at least has a phone number. But, you know, she's like, but she even asked me, she's like, why do I need to know this? I was like, because you never know what's going to happen. Like the first day of school, she's always, for all through kindergarten, I picked her up. And that's the game plan up until something has to change. But I've always picked her up. And when we went to meet the teacher, you know, they had us fill out this thing on a computer with our names, our phone numbers, whether they were a car rider, bus rider, or walker. And so I filled all that out. But then the system started having glitches. And so I even asked her teacher, I said, do I need to write it down on a piece of paper? Even though mine said it submitted, do I need to go ahead and write it again? And she's like, no, it should be fine. First day of school comes around, and I'm sitting in the pickup line at the school. And the lady who's, you know, calling out the names for the kids comes up. She's like, Madeline Perry, she's supposed to be on bus 3, right? I said, no, she's not a bus rider. They already had her on a bus getting ready to leave the school. And Madeline was completely confused, but she went along with it because that's what they told her. And that's what I was like, she needs to know what's going on. Because I always tell her, I'm like, hey, if anything changes, I'll let you know. I'm picking you up. You're not, you know, any of that. But yeah. Give me 1 second. Son needs something. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Kids call. Oh, goodness. But let's see. Oh yeah, talking about the bus. You know, if the bus had left, and the bus driver, and the reason, and that was the other thing. Like they kept saying, well, we've been trying to call you. My number is the same as it was last year. It's in her file in the office. And they said, well, we were calling all the other parents in the classroom to see if they had your number. And we've been trying to get a hold of your husband. They finally, somehow, I guess they looked in the file and they got my husband's work number. And they called him at work to tell him that she was on her bus, but they didn't have an address for her. So, of course, he's freaking out. But you know, if the bus had left and the bus driver got to the point where she was the last one on the bus, I mean, she wouldn't have a phone number to call. She would have been really confused, really lost. You know, at our old house, she at least knew the road we lived on. Here, I mean, we talked to her about it, but hasn't quite remembered it all. But you know, that's a minor example of something that can happen. And you know, you always have to tell our kids to be aware of what's around them. Don't walk off with somebody you don't know. You know, don't just because somebody says they have a piece of candy for you doesn't mean that they're your friend. You know, stuff like that. It's scary. It's really scary. You know, like we can't be at a restaurant or a store. And I mean, I can remember as a kid, you know, if I needed to go to the bathroom and we were in the grocery store, I just told my mom and went off to the bathroom. You can't let your kids do that anymore. I mean, you almost have to be a helicopter parent just in normal day-to-day life, because if you don't, then somebody's going to snatch your kid up or they're going to wander off. And I mean, luckily, I think I've always had my kids, like, whenever we go in anywhere, like I always hold their hands in the parking lot and in the store. So now it's almost like just a automatic reaction. Like as soon as we get out of the car, like they reach for my hand and we walk, because it is a scary world right now. And I don't know if the dangers were there when we were kids. I'm sure that there were, but I mean, you didn't think about it. You didn't know. I mean, we always talked about, you know, stranger danger and stuff like that. Like you don't go and, you know, with people you don't know. They always told us that kind of stuff. Now honestly, I've even gotten to the point where, like, if I'm going to the bathroom and they're coming with me, like I go into the big stall so that they have to stand there with me up against the wall, just because people are nuts and they're sick. Oh my goodness. Ugh. I just, you know, I want to find the balance, because I know there's going to be times where I'm not going to be there, or I'm not going to be right there in the moment. But at the same time, I want them to know that I want to be there for them. I want to be with them all the time. There are days that they drive me crazy and I can't wait for bedtime, but that doesn't, you know, that doesn't mean I don't want them here all the time with me. That's why I've been as you can see, Eddie's on here. But, and you know, being a helicopter parent isn't a bad thing. Now being completely hands off, I think, can be unnecessary. I mean, I believe that, you know, kids should have a little bit of freedom, and I think it can grow as they grow and mature and prove that they can handle freedom. But see, that sounds so wrong, freedom. But I think when you have little ones just not being there or hands on at all, I don't know. I mean, to me, that would almost be worse than being a helicopter parent. Like, I mean, a helicopter parent, you know, at least, you know, the kid knows you're there. But being completely hands off, I mean, who do they have to depend on? You know, I understand that, you know, some people want their kids to have their survival instincts and be able to stand on their own 2 feet. And I think that comes with time. But part of the joys of our lives once you become a parent is actually being a parent and being able to be with them and guide them and love them and show them that you're there, and be able to hug them when they get hurt and be able to use that as a life lesson. Like, I know sometimes I kind of laugh at some of those things you see on Facebook, where, you know, I'm the kind of, you know, some parents are, their kid does something after being told not to, and the parent's like, oh, honey, are you okay? And I'm the kind of parent that says, well, if you had listened to me the first time, you wouldn't have got hurt. That's my style of parenting to a point. I also am like, you shouldn't have done that. I just told you to not do that, and now you got hurt. Did we learn from this? Okay, come here, let me see. I'll give you a hug. Let's get a Band-Aid, whatever. But it's just, it's a joy, and it's amazing being a parent. It's stressful, and it's tiring and exhausting, and there are days when you just, you don't know how you're going to make it to the end of the day. And then there are those days that you wish they would just never end, and parenting has probably taught me way more than I'll ever teach my kids. I mean, they've taught me more than I'll ever be able to teach them. And it's in some of the most subtle and simple ways, but through pain, that's just part of life. I mean, it's like, how many times have you heard, if you let a kid touch a hot stove after you told them not to touch it and they touch it, they learn, because now they burn themselves. They're not going to do that again. I mean, I think we've all done something. So I can remember, I don't remember how old I was, but my granny and pawpaw in their house, they used to have one of those cast iron wood burning stoves, and that's what they used for heat in their living room. And, they always used to tell us, don't get close to that. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get burned. And how many times, there's at least one time that I can remember that being a kid that, I thought I just knew better. I was going to be fine, and lost my balance and kind of went like this and burned my fingers. It could have been worse, but I learned not to be close to that anymore. Well, I don't know. Well, it's, I don't even know. I don't know how else to I guess think. Yeah. Yes, exactly, Ashley. I mean, we are supposed to be their guides and their teachers through life to a point, and then that the little birdie spreads its wings to fly. But some of these parents I see, they're not setting the example that they should be setting. And they're the type of people that are real quick to point out the flaws of everybody else, or to call somebody else's kid a brat or a jerk or whatever. But they don't see that their behavior, even that right there, is modeling behavior for their children. I can remember there's been a couple times where, Maddie, she's so funny. So we would be going through like a drive-through, and so I get up there to the window and I hand the lady or the guy my card, and he hands it back to me. I'm like, thank you, have a good day. And I drive forward, get our food. Thank you, you too, have a good one. And then drive off. And Maddie would be like, Mom, you were so nice to them. Did you know them? I'm like, no. I said, well, that's how we're supposed to treat people. You're supposed to show a little bit of, you're supposed to show them some respect and be nice. I said, and sometimes when we do that, we make them have a better day, because a lot of times they don't get that from people. And then she goes, yeah, some people are mean. I said, well, yeah, some people are. And that's just the way of it. But doesn't mean we have to be. And even when somebody is not very nice to us, we don't know what caused that. We don't know what's been going on. So we try to just not really let it bother us, but you can always be nice, or you can just smile. Just smile at somebody. Sometimes that can just make their day turn around. But Maddie's very observant in that stuff. She's always asking me questions. Like even at Walmart or whatever, you talk to the cashier and she would be like, "Mommy, do you know her?" No. She's like, "Well, you were talking to her." I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, she was helping us out by checking, scanning our stuff. So I just thought I would just talk with her a little bit while we were standing there." And she's like, "Oh," she said, "So it's okay to talk to her?" I said, "Yeah, it's okay." But, we have to be willing to model the behavior we want to see from our kids. It doesn't always work. I mean, kids are going to be kids. They're gonna model a behavior they see from other places too, just to see what reaction they're going to get. I mean, since Maddie started school, she's going to be around so many other kids and they have different personalities and everything else. So yeah, she's come home and kind of tried some little attitude things. And I just kind of look at her. I'm like, "What do you think you're doing?" She's like, "I don't know." Not okay. You know that. And even so one of the things I've always also tried to do was, so, our kids, they hear bad words sometimes, in life through TV or whatever. And so they would repeat what they hear. And so I would ask them, I'm like, "Why did you say that?" And then, they would explain or whatever. And I'm like, "Okay, there are some words that you hear that adults say that are not okay for kids to say. That is one of those words. Because it's a teachable moment. It's not something that I get mad at them for, because they don't really know what they're saying. They're just repeating it. Sometimes it's in the correct context, and you're just like, they might have heard that too much. But I figure that's a moment that I can just explain to them what it is, why they shouldn't say it. And but I know there's parents out there that the first bad word a kid says, they immediately, take action and do punishment or whatever. And then there's other people that just laugh about it and make it a big joke, and then the kid continues. But things like that I think are real important teachable moments, because the way I react to whatever they're doing is going to determine whether they keep doing it or whether they actually learn from it. And Maddie, she's 6, she'll be 7 in January, but I swear she acts like a mini teenager, which has me scared because I don't know what to expect for teenage years. Maybe she'll get it out of her system now and she'll be a perfect teenager. I don't know. But yeah. Yeah. She's a good kid. I pray that that's where our daughter is going. I want her. I mean, she's got this amazing, goofy, silly, smart personality, and I want that to continue. I just don't want any more attitude to continue, because she's already sassy. I mean, I've said it a couple times. I say that she has sassitude because she's got a sassy attitude. And sometimes I just look at her and I'm like, "You are 6 years old. Why are you being so sassy? What do you have to be sassy about?" Sassitude. That's the word I use for Miss Madeline. Miss Sassitude. But parts of it I love, because it's her personality. It's her. She's got a huge heart too. Sometimes her personality just kind of overshadows overshadows it. But she's rambunctious and she's got energy for days. And yeah, and see, like, so there's times where I've, slipped, and sometimes I try to use, like, so if I, like, do something and I'm like, son of a biscuit, but there's been other times I didn't say that. I said, son of a bee. And so then Zeke would, I guess, have heard me, and he'd be like, he would drop a toy or something, and he would repeat it. I'm like, Zeke, come here. I said, I know you might have heard mommy say that. I was like, but that's not an okay way to say things for a little kid. I said, if you get frustrated, just say, good gracious, or good gravy, or something like that. And I give them, like, alternatives, but they're like, damn it. That's another one I say sometimes. I'm like, damn it. And little ears hear a lot more than we realize. So like, if they repeat that, that's funny. Well, see, I can remember asking my mom stuff like that whenever it would come to, like, songs. So when growing up, my mom listened to a lot of country, and so there was, times in those songs that it would say a word, and I'm like, Mom, am I going to get in trouble if I'm singing a song and it has a bad word? And she was like, well, I guess not, but it's not something that you need to just sing all the time just because it's a way to say it, but yeah, so I can see the whole, can I say this? But caught picking some. Well, like, my granny apparently used to say good gravy all the time, because I didn't realize where I even picked that up from. I just started saying it after I had kids, just because I was trying to, like, control my words. But I told Zeke, when he tried to say damn it, I said, well, don't say that. I said, that's a big person word. I said, you can say dang or shoot or darn. I was like, but let's not say the other one. And he's like, okay. Yeah. Well, and see, like, I don't like shut up or stupid. Son of a mother's go. Maybe we should just have a conversation of like you said, homesteading cuss words. Everybody and their mama's here. Yeah. Homesteading cuss words. Let's see. That's some other ones that dag nabbit. Dag nabbit. That was one other one I used to say. I'm just trying to think. But it's just funny. But yeah, it's interesting to think on, like, so Eddie's guilty of this one. He's kind of a road rager. Not horrible, but he likes to yell at other drivers. And now my kids will be in the back seat being like backseat road ragers. So Maddie she'll be in the back and she's like, oh good God, people, just move, get out of the way. Or like she'll see the light turn green, she's like, it's green, why aren't y'all going? Like, I'm like, Madeline, they can't hear you. But one of the times and he got mad at another driver, and he called him an a-hole. And Zeke, he was only like 2, and he was like, a-hole. I was like, shh, Papa, no, don't say that. But okay, have a good one, Ashley. But yeah, I just so yeah, now I have little backseat road ragers. But more so Maddie. She's like, why aren't they moving? God. I even heard her say, like, push the gas. Like, you don't even know what that means. You're just repeating what you heard. But kids are funny. I don't know. I kind of, got on that topic, but it just, I know it's one of those, parenting is one of those topics it's kind of almost like politics. It's hard to talk about because everybody's they've got their own opinion, they've got their own viewpoints, and everybody thinks that they're the only ones that are right. Not everybody, but majority of people think that they're the only ones who are right. Parenting is not a one size fits all. I just you gotta figure out what's working for you and for your family. Like I said, for me personally, is like as long as I'm not beating the snot out of my kids, I'm not starving them, they're not dirty and filthy and obviously not taken care of, you just leave me be. I'm not doing anything to my kids that's gonna hurt them. They may not like me all the time. I can be a mean mom, and that's okay. I'm okay with being a mean mom if that means that my kids will grow up to be somewhat halfway decent adults. I can handle being a mean mom for a few years. But I would rather be the mean mom that teaches her children how to get through this world than to be the nice mom that just doesn't guide them in the right direction. I take my parenting responsibility serious, and I don't want to look back and say, man, I really messed up. So if that means, having to be mean and putting my foot down and being a disciplinarian, so be it. That's just the way it is. So I know there's so many, so many different paths a person can take, in this life. And the path of being a parent is not easy, but it does. It has a huge reward. I mean, not only do you have these little blessings that drive you crazy, but there's a piece of you that moves forward past you, and you want to put that piece into the world to make it better, not to make it more difficult. So if I can do one thing right in this world, hopefully it's raising kids to be halfway decent. So is there anything else that we can talk about other than my little rant? It's one of those things that it's been on my mind for a few days. I'm like, I don't have like a group of girlfriends or anybody that I really just hash things out with. So y'all are my friends. So I get to hash things out with y'all. I don't know. I don't know how much longer I'll be on. I know a lot of people have things to do. I probably got to get some stuff done. Just my little break. But I guess I'll just hop off here. It was fun. I'm glad I got to hop on and talk with people. And I know a lot of people have similar views, and I think we all kind of are on the same page of it, trying to raise good humans, you know, put something in the world that the world can't take away. You know, I mean, we try to raise them so that when they step out those doors, that maybe they can put a little bit of positivity out there instead of all the crazy negativity. And I know, I mean, we're trying to instill some type of faith for them. I mean, it's ultimately their decision, but I hope that we can at least create a faith foundation that they can feel like it is where they're supposed to be. You know, we go to church, but church isn't the only thing. You know, it's what we do here and what we do with them and what we do every day outside of church that's going to teach them or help them see if we are who we say we are. Hey, Nathan. I mean, you can be a you know, a church goer and go every Sunday and be religious about it, but if that's the only time that you incorporate God into your life, it's going to be lacking, and your kids will see it. And that's one of the things, like, you know, we just want to build that up in them. I hope. Yeah, churchgoers don't equal Christian. All right, Big Bear, have a good one. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people who are Christians who don't go to church and are better Christians than the people who go every week. You know, it's just that doesn't make you a Christian. You know, it doesn't make you a faithful follower. I mean, going to church is just going to a building and listening to somebody talk. You can get that on here. You can get it on computer. You can watch it on TV. You can stream it on your phone. You know, it just, going to church doesn't make you a Christian. It's like what you said, Nathan. It doesn't equal that. I think church can be important if you're going for the right reason. You know, church is a place for believers to come together and be a community and help build each other up in faith. But it doesn't mean that, you know, just by you walking in the doors, is it actually going to do anything for you. One of the things our pastor always says at the end of service is go be the church, because that's what we're supposed to be. We are supposed to be the church. You know, we are supposed to be the ones going out and spreading the love and the gospel, you know. And it's not saying that you have to be the one that goes up and up to everybody in their face and be like, do you know Jesus? Are you saved? But just by your day-to-day actions, can you be a beacon, you know? So it's, I mean, we have to be willing to be that example for our children. And it's not easy. We always, huh? Uh-oh. We're not going to be perfect. We're going to fall. We're going to fail. We're going to, fall flat on our face some days. But it's how we handle that too, and what we show our kids as to how they're going to handle things when they fall. And it's like last night when Maddie was practicing her volleyball, and she kept saying, "Does that mean I get a point? Does that mean I'm winning?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, you may win, you may not." But she's like, "Well, what do I get if I win?" I was like, "Nothing. You get the pride of knowing that you did a good job with your team and your team was able to win the game. If you don't win, then there's things that you need to work on." I said, you don't always get things. You don't always get a prize for every win or whatever. That's one thing that I know everybody is so concerned about hurt feelings and not wanting anybody to feel like they're not a winner. But I'm sorry, you're not going to win at everything. You're not going to get a prize for everything. You're not going to get a trophy. I mean, I don't know when we went from, playing a game to, team won and a team lost and you just went about your business and try it again next week, to a team, we don't keep score so that nobody wins or loses. Nobody gets their feelings hurt. At the end of the year, everybody gets the same trophy and the same prizes. And I'm like, what do kids have to strive for if there's not something? That's not the only thing, not the only reason they should be playing. But if you know that there is a way to win and a way not to win, and you can at least strive to get to that better point. You're not going to be perfect. Not every game's going to be, you're not going to win every game. You're not going to score a point in every game, whatever. But they should be able to understand the winning side and the losing side. Your team lost. That sucks. But it just gives you more motivation to try harder next time. Yeah, see, that's good.
They're inside.
Oh yeah. I think that's the thing. Our kids need to know that they're not always going to get something. You're not always going to get something for giving something, or just because you showed up. It's just crazy. I don't understand. I mean, nobody likes to lose, but it's a part of life. It's just like anything else. Like in school, I was never a straight A student or anything. I was more like a BC student. And part of it was a lack of motivation, I guess, but also it was just there were certain things that I just didn't get, and that's something I'm trying to teach my kids, that there's going to be things that you might be really, really good at and that come really easy to you, and there's going to be things that are very hard. And then you'll look over at somebody else, and the things that are hard for you are super easy for them. And then the other side, things that are easy for you are hard for them. And that's okay. I mean, it's just everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses. It doesn't mean that you're stupid or that you're not good at enough. It's just that's not your strong point. It's just like, I was even having a similar discussion with Eddie yesterday about this, because I was telling him that there are certain times where he asks me to help him with stuff that I don't understand what it is he needs me to do. And he gets frustrated, but it's because the way he sees it is so different than the way I see it or the way that I understand it. So when he at the same point kind of expects me to just understand what he understands. And I tell him, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't get what you want me to do, or I don't get how to do that. But there's things that I understand that he doesn't. But it's just, it's just funny. I mean, so many things are teachable moments for our kids, and sometimes you don't want to deal with those moments because it's just like so much to explain and help them understand. But ultimately, I mean, is to teach them, to guide them, to help them learn, and to not be there, or okay, not be there, but we're not here to just fix everything. They're gonna fall down, and sometimes they're gonna fail, and they're gonna lose or whatever. We can be there as comfort, as an ear, as a shoulder to cry on, but we can't always fix everything as much as we want to. As much as you don't want your children to hurt, and you don't want your children to cry, and you don't want their heart to be broken. They kind of need to go through those experiences in order to be able to survive a world without us. But I guess I'm gonna hop off here and try to see if Zeke wants some lunch. I gotta get some stuff done before we have to go pick up my daughter. But it was fun. I'm glad I got to get on for a little while. I might try to get on here again Thursday. I don't know. I know Eddie was starting to. Huh?
My tummy is empty.
I know. We're gonna eat lunch in just a second. I know Eddie had talked about doing a live tonight, the both of us, but I don't know if we will or not. I guess it's kind of up in the air. But if not, I will try to see y'all either Thursday or maybe next Tuesday. But all right, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful and blessed day, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one.